to Umbrellas of Hope, where we proudly present our new speaker, Richard Kauffman, overcoming drug addiction, alcoholism, homelessness, PTSD, TBI, and blindness. He embodies resilience. As a 2x Amazon best-selling author and sought-after speaker, his impact is felt globally, with a top 1% ranked podcast. Join us in this empowering journey, embracing hope and transformation, inspired by Richard's unwavering spirit and ability to conquer life's toughest trials. Together, we'll discover the path to a brighter future.
Hey guys, it's me, the comeback coach, Richard Kauffman. Guys, I'm so honored and privileged to be able to talk to you today. Nirka said she'd let me come on and talk to you, and I'm so grateful and I'm so honored. If you guys don't know me, my name is Richard Kauffman, also known as the comeback coach. I'm not in my office, so my son's back from high school, so he's doing some work there. So I'm hanging out in the living room. Look at all my beautiful children. I'm so blessed. I'm so grateful. But if you guys don't know me, I am a #1 best-selling author 2 times over. Podcast host of Vertical Momentum. We are in the top 1% in the world. We just got ranked up there with Gary Vaynerchuk today. We've over 300,000 downloads. My videos have been seen almost 1 million times combined. But I'm not saying that to brag or anything. I'm just saying that to let you know a little bit about who I am. And I wasn't even supposed to be alive to be able to talk to you today. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. But as you see, the way that what I'm talking about today is the 3 most important words in the English language are, today I decide. Whatever decisions you make today will be where you are 5 years from now. Now, guys, I've made a lot of mistakes. I've made a lot of bad mistakes. And sometimes I'm still paying for them. But I've turned my mess into my message. And now it's reverberating around the whole world. A year ago or 2 years ago, we had our own virtual summit called the Today I Decide Mental Health Summit, which was a free mental health summit. People got changed in that day. So I'm just trying to pay it forward. But guys, I know you have a lot of great speakers here today. And I'm not one of them. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not here for your wallet. I'm here for your heart. I'm here because somebody out there, I don't know who it is, one person out there came with a heavy heart today. Whether you're struggling with addiction, whether you're struggling with mental health issues, you might even be struggling with imposter syndrome. If anybody's out there and you're at home, raise your hand if you struggle in any of these. I do. I have, and sometimes I still do. I still struggle with imposter syndrome. Who am I to be, #1 author? Who am I to be a top podcaster or a top speaker, top paid speaker? But I want to tell you a little bit about my backstory. And my life has about 3 or 4 different chapters where if I would have just made a different decision, my life wouldn't be where it is today. And I want to talk about that. So where I grew up in Jersey. I'm in Jersey right now. Actually, I'm about 3 miles from the house that I was born in the same town that I was homeless, living in a car for about 1.5 years, being a drug addict and alcoholic. Now, obviously, you guys can't see, but if you look out that window, if you stand on my porch, that's where the Twin Towers once stood. And so 9/11 was one of those wake-up days. 9/11 was the today I decide. But grew up poor. Mother was an addict. Thank God. Thank God she's clean now, over 27 years. So I moved around a lot. I had my first drink at age 12, full blown alcoholic by the age of 13. Got thrown out of high school. They frown upon you hitting teachers with desks. So if you have kids, tell them don't hit your teacher with a desk. So for me, it was military or jail. Unfortunately or fortunately for me, I found both. I got locked up a couple times when I was in the military. They kept me for 2.5 years. I traveled the world, party like a rock star. At 18 years old, I actually had in Germany. I actually had got to drink German beer at 18 years old in Oktoberfest in October in Germany. So it's something I love that I was able to do. But I got in trouble a lot. I made bad decisions, and eventually, I found drugs in the military. So not only was I an alcoholic now, because I'm a full-blown alcoholic, now I found drugs. So now I'm a drug addict and an alcoholic. And eventually Uncle Sam decides, you know what? We don't need you anymore. So he threw me out. So here I am, 20 years old, and come home. Told my mom I got out early for good behavior. And, I got home, and after traveling the world, 20 years old, I was living like a rock star and partying every night at the clubs. To come home and be in bed by 10 o'clock, or in the house by 10, because my dad got up at 5 o'clock in the morning and worked 6 days a week. He threw me out because I was not conforming to the rules, and unfortunately, he just passed on Valentine's Day. But thank God we made up, and now. Me and him we were like this. So not only I'm 20 years old, now I have a drug problem. Now I have an alcohol problem, and now I got an attitude problem. So I'm living in my car now. So I lived in my car for about a year and a half, and it was really bad. I mean, I was getting drunk, getting high, and living a really bad life, making really bad choices. And one of the worst choices is about to come up. Now, my mother said I was allowed to come back in the house if I went back to school. So I went back to school and became a bartender. So, word to the wise, if you're an alcoholic, don't go to school to be a bartender. I became number one in the class, but so my first job, I get hired, which is New Year's Eve, 1988. Police officer says, I have a bar. I want you to come in. I want you to work for me. I want you to tend bar. And he figured, all right, he's military. He's squared away. But what's up, Jordan? So he asked me to bartend, and I'm bartending. Everything's going great. Everything's going good. All of a sudden, somebody buys me a drink. I buy them a drink, and it's off to the races. Now, I don't remember anything after that. I woke up like 8 hours later, knocking on my door, knock, 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 knock. And I was like, oh, man, who's this? So I go put on my pants. My pants got like $8,000 in it. And I'm like, where did all this money come from? How did I get home? And when I go on the door, I open the door. It's the guy, the police officer, and 3 of his buddies coming to lock me up because I robbed the place. So not only did I have all the money in my pocket, I also gave away $2,000 worth of free drinks. So he wasn't happy, but he was my angel. He said, Rich, you're 20 years old. Back then I was good looking. He said, if you go to jail, you're going to be somebody's bitch. And he said, I'm going to give you a break. He says, I want my money back in 24 hours. And you got to go to 90 meetings in 90 days of Alcoholics Anonymous. I begged and I borrowed. My dad helped me out, my uncles and aunts. Got the money together, paid them, and I made a decision that day. It was either go to jail or go to AA. And since that day, January 2nd, 1989, I haven't had a drink or a drug. So that was one of the decisions that I made. Now, as I was getting locked up, my uncle looked at me and he said, "You know what? I knew you didn't have what it takes to be a military man." And that really ate at me night and day. Couldn't sleep for months on end. So I decided to go back in the military. Yes, I'm probably the only guy that you'll ever talk to that's ever been in the military twice. So I got back in the military. Now, I still had an attitude problem. I wasn't doing drugs, I wasn't drinking, but I was still an asshole. And I moved to South Carolina to join the South Carolina National Guard. And I had an attitude problem, and I got busted. I got busted a bunch of times. I think at the end of my total enlistment, I think I had like 6 or 8 Article 15s and 2 field grade Article 15s, that's pretty much unheard of. So they were due to throw me out again for the second time, twice. Not get thrown out once, but twice at the end of September of 2001. But 9/11 happened. And now what happened was, just picture this, guys, for you guys that were still alive and around then, remember everything that they were showing you on TV, everything was live. There was no editing. You've seen people jumping out of the buildings, hitting the ground, bouncing up, people running out. You see them pull, soldiers were being pulled out of the Pentagon. And think about this, as my TV's here, all my stuff is here because I'm about to be thrown out and I got to turn all my shit back in. And something happened to me. I became a broken man. I literally crumbled into my couch and I cried out to the Lord. I said, Lord, give me another chance. Those people that went to work that day couldn't come home. They didn't have another chance. Now, like I said, right out these windows, I could see where the Twin Towers once were. And we knew people that were in the buildings that day. We knew people that weren't coming home. And something broke in me that day. And like I said, I cried out to the Lord and I said, Lord, give me another chance to be able to help other people. I don't want to live like I'm living now. I don't want to live for myself anymore. I want to be able to live and be able to help people that are struggling. And I called my company commander. I called my first sergeant. And I asked him for a meeting. And I came in and we had heart to heart. And they heard all my bullshit before. And they seen I was different. I was a different man. And I think that's where another decision. Today I decide, if I could have made the wrong decision and kept my life going the same way it was, but I decided to change. I didn't want to be who I was anymore. And that's the point of what we're going to talk about today is you don't have to be the same person that goes to bed tonight that woke up this morning. You can change. In a moment, you can change. But so they kept me. And thank God they kept me. I got busted E4 back down to E1. So when I went to drill the next weekend, I was at E nothing, starting all over again. But within 3 years, I became Soldier of the Month. Soldier of the Year. In 4 years, I became a non-commissioned officer. And I ended up doing 23 years total. Now this is the third part of my story. So I'm doing good. I'm kicking ass. I'm the ultimate soldier. I went to school. I went to all different schools. I got 3 different MOSs. Whatever you want, I got you. I'm the ultimate soldier. PT, boom. I was a PT stud. I did whatever it took. Like I said, one Soldier of the Year, non-commissioned officer, just kicking ass. Decided to move to New Jersey because I got reacquainted with the love of my life, and we're married now for almost 11 years, and she's my bride. But I moved here and I joined the New Jersey National Guard, and the first annual training that we had, we moved. Driving in a vehicle. I'm the vehicle convoy commander, and a vehicle breaks down alongside a road. So of course, as a commander, I got to recover it. I got to make sure everybody's safe. I got to get off the highway. So I hop out, and I got a young driver, brand new driver, rookie. Doesn't still wet behind the ears, don't know what's going on. So and back again to that today, I decide, for most of my career, whenever I hopped off a vehicle, I would just put, my soft cap on. That day, I decided to keep my Kevlar on. Thank God. So what happened was, as I'm backing this young driver up, instead of him hitting the brakes, he hits the gas and backs over me in an armored Humvee. Runs over my head, runs over the whole right side of my body. Now back then, I was pretty jacked. I was in shape. I was on some stuff. I can't talk about that. Wasn't a lit. Well, anyway, but I was working with GNC, so I was on some stuff. So I was pretty jacked and shredded at that time. And I got up and I shook it off. I'm like, I'm good. I'm all right. I'm the ultimate soldier. I'm all right. And as we got back into vehicles and driving back down to Fort Dix, all of a sudden, my vision starts to go. And at the end of my 2 weeks, I was blind in my left eye, totally blind. And even though I stuck out my annual training because I didn't want to go home, because I didn't want to be, I'm the ultimate soldier, right? So I can't quit. So I get back to my unit and I tell them what happened. And they tell me, listen, you can't see, you can't shoot. We don't need you anymore. And we're going to send you down to the Warrior Transition Unit to where eventually, when we decide when we're going to put you out, we're going to medically retire you and you are no longer going to be Sergeant Kauffman. So that was something that, it took about a year and a half. So every weekend that we had drill, I would drive down there, and you sit in a room, a big room with a bunch of people and a bunch of soldiers that are all whatever's got going on. They call you broke dicks, and a lot of them, angry, mad, pissed off. So a lot of them just sit there, play cards, play chess and, spades. And I did all that for about the first month. And I'm like, all right, I can't do this anymore. So I started picking up books on self-development. I picked up a book by Robert Kiyosaki called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I started getting deep into self-development at this time. But eventually, it was Memorial Day 2012. They called me in the office. They like, come here, Sarge. I want to talk to you. Bring your stuff. And I knew it. I knew it. I knew it was coming. But I didn't know how it was going to be. So they called me in the office and they said, Sergeant Kauffman, we have deemed you unfit for service. You are no longer Sergeant Kauffman. You are going to be medically discharged. And I didn't know what to do. I was the ultimate soldier. I was Sergeant Kauffman. And now you're telling me you're no longer a member of the military. So I got out my truck. I bought a brand new Dodge Ram 1500. And I got out to my truck and have you guys ever just, whether you lost a career, whether you lost a loved one, whether you've lost a job, and you're just sitting there thinking, who am I? What do I do now? And that's the point I was at. And I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to say. And that was the day that I decided to end my life. That was the decision that I made. So I decided I'm going to call my wife and tell her, I'm on my way, because we were supposed to meet the family down the shore and have fun. I told her I'm on my way, and I loved her, and I knew it was going to be the last time I talked to her. I was never going to see her again. I was never going to see this little girl up here. My 6-month-old daughter. I knew I was never going to see her again. And I told her I love you. So my plan was I was going to get the truck up to 100 miles an hour and put it on cruise control, turn up the radio, and eventually run off the road into a ditch or in a pylon and end my life. Sorry, guys, this is a little bit hard. I got up to 100 miles an hour and turned on the radio, closed my eyes, and the radio's playing, and I could feel the car moving over. The truck was moving over. And the song came on the radio. It was called I Saw God Today. And it talks about a father looking at his baby girl in the window of the nursery. And my eyes popped up. And I pulled the wheel. And that's when I made the decision, today I decide, I want to be a daddy. I want to be a husband. I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be one of the 22. So there's that. Today I decide. That's where it came most of all. So I get my bearings together, and I meet my wife. She didn't really find out what happened until almost maybe a couple months ago, when somebody wrote about me in a magazine. And I told my wife, I said, honey, I can't make it. I don't know who I am. I need help, or I'm going to eat my gum. I'm going to blow my brains out when we get home. She said, don't do anything. Because Monday was Memorial Day. And so I went to go see my I called the VA mental health crisis hotline, and they got me into an appointment, and I got to see my therapist for the first time, and she's been my therapist for the last now 11 years, and so I had to reinvent myself. I had to reimagine my life. What is my life going to be like? What do I want? I had to make decisions in my life. Am I going to be a father? Am I going to be a good husband? Am I going to love all these kids? Am I good enough? Am I a good enough man? And God said, you're good enough. You are good enough. So I started getting help. And then I took a deep dive into self-help. I started reading a lot of books. Even though I had one eye, I started reading a lot of books. When Audible came out, I started listening to a lot of books on audio. I listened to podcasts, and I kept hearing this guy's name, Gary Vaynerchuk. And I'm like, who in the hell is Gary Vaynerchuk? And little did I know that he's going to be such an influence in my life. And now I found out that his father had a liquor store here 20 minutes from my house in Springfield, New Jersey. And one day I called him, and I called his father, and I said, this is Richard from GNC. When's Gary going to be there? I got a delivery, whatever. And he said he's going to be here. I think it was Saturday or something like that. So I actually showed up and got to bullshit with Gary Vaynerchuk and talked to me, and I picked up his book, and he inspired me to start my own podcast. And that my very first podcast was Success Your Why, Power is Your How. It did really well, but then, then I wanted to move on up. But one thing Gary, was instrumental in was writing my book. It's called A Hero's Journey from Darkness to Light. And now it's a 2-time #1 best-selling book. And the last 2 chapters are, what does depression look like? Not what you think it looks like. What does addiction look like? And not what you think it looks like. So the book came out. The podcast started hopping. I started getting on podcasts, virtual summits like we are talking here, many stages around the world. I got to talk and be able to save people's lives. And my story has changed, but it hasn't really changed, because everything that I do today, 5 years from now, I'll be able to pinpoint exactly what I was doing today. Where I know that if I want to be successful, the choices I make today are 5 years from now are going to be the results of the choices that I make today. And that's what I just want to get to you guys, that if you guys are watching this, and that's why I wear my t-shirt all the time, today I decide. The 3 most important words in my English language are today I decide. You do not have to be the same person when you go to bed tonight that you were when you woke up this morning. You can change. And I know there's somebody out there saying, well, no, it's impossible to change like that. Let me tell you something. If somebody came to you right now and you're told your significant other they had cancer, you change your life in that 1 split second. So you can change. It's just if you want to change. So that's my whole talk about today. Is today I decide, guys. And for you guys that are in business, the decisions you make in business today, you're going to reap the rewards 5 years from now. The relationships you build today are going to build your legacy. I'm a big legacy guy. One of my favorite quotes by Gary Vaynerchuk is, your legacy will always be more valuable than your currency. Think about that. Your legacy will be more important and more valuable than your currency. So guys, I just want to say thank you for taking the time, for letting me talk to you guys. I'm truly humbled and grateful. And I also want to put this out there. I am a coach. I've been coaching. I've coached guys from NFL, Major League Baseball, WWE, NBA, Major League Baseball. Coaches, I've been coached guys and girls that are making 7, 8, 9 figures. I help them come back. And one thing I specialize in, and like I talked about my dad, earlier, that we made peace. I can guarantee you, I can change your life in 90 days using the 3 powers of forgiveness. And I'm offering you guys, just because you guys are watching this and your friends in New York, I love you, a free 30-minute coaching call with me, so I can help you with anything you're struggling with, whether that's addiction, whether that's relationship problems, with any health problems, mental health problems. 30 minutes of my time we can either do it through Zoom, StreamYard, on the phone, in person. I'm going to dedicate 30 minutes of my time to help you out, because I've been there. And like Oprah Winfrey says, the best way we can help ourselves is by helping others. So guys, hope you guys enjoying this summit. Have a great time. Tell New York, hey, hey, hey. And I love you guys, and talk to you soon. And remember, like, my podcast is called Vertical Momentum. The only way to go is but up.
In this emotional and inspiring episode of Keep on Living, we had the privilege of hearing the power story of Richard Kauffman, also known as the comeback coach. Richard, he shared his journey of struggle, redemption, and transformation, proving that the 3 most important words in the English language are today I decide. As we wrap up this heartwarming episode, we see Richard as he continues to impact lives through his coaching and speaking engagement, spreading his message of hope and resilience to all who need it. The viewers are left feeling inspired to make positive change in their own life, knowing that they have the power to overcome adversity and decide their destiny. Richard's story serves as a reminder that our past does not define us, and with the right decision and determination, we can create a brighter future. Keep on living. And Umbrellas of Hope salute Richard Kauffman for his courage, strength, and his willingness to pay forward in others in need. Join us next week for another uplifting episode as we continue to explore stories of hope, healing, and the triumph of the human spirit on Keep on Living. Until then, remember, today you decide how to shape your tomorrow. Keep on living, keep on striving, and keep spreading the light of hope to those around you. Together, we can make a difference in this world. Hello, amazing viewers. Your support is invaluable. Your like, shares, and engagement have channeled into a vibrant community, and we're deeply grateful. Thank you. If you have been enjoying our content and want to see more, there's a simple way to support us. Hit that big red subscribe button below this video. Subscribing not only keeps you updated on our latest release, but also show you appreciation for what we do. And some exciting news, our next promo, it reveals fantastic products we have crafted with you in mind. From exclusive merchandise to cutting-edge tools, we got it all. By purchasing a product, you become a part of our mission to deliver valuable content and take this community to new heights. Every purchase helps us invest in better equipment, expand our team, and explore new possibilities. These products are just things that you own. They are a symbol of your support and love for what we do. So stay tuned for the next video. Check the links below and grab what catches your eyes. Let's embark on this journey together. Thank you for inspiring us. You turn this channel into a community, not just a platform. So let's continue to create and soar together. Stay
journaled after our first visit. This is my second outing with Fishing with America's Finest, and I read that journal last night. And what I had very distinctly noticed is that I commuted down here to the park, our first time out, and I came in listening to some real, headbanging rock music. And when I left, at the end of the day, after being out here in the open air and in the vast land of the Everglades, I went home listening to different music, and I had noticed it. And when I got home, even my taste buds for my cravings for different foods started opening up to different things. And I guess I just started maturing, and more importantly, healing the heart and the mind, and that connection. it was like the Everglades and the outing here with Fishing with America's Finest kind of sparked it, and it just kept going from there. And I kept in touch with you, and we talked. And I don't know if in a past life you're obviously, quite obviously, in this life a healer of sorts, and you are in the right, absolute right spot, dealing with people that definitely benefit. I know I did. And it started with just one outing to the Everglades with you, with Fishing with America's Finest.
As a female veteran, how did it affect you?
It was profound. I kind of, well, it was so profound that I actually had to write about it. Wrote a novel. And it just stayed on my mind because I love the quiet. That was the first time it was quiet. So it gave me peace for a little bit. And I miss it.
It gives me peace every time I come out here. Mm-hmm. It never gets old. It's what's so amazing about being out here. I don't even know the number of the trips that I've made in my lifetime to the Everglades. And each and every time, it moves me.
Yeah.
It's